Everybody raise their hand as high as they can. All right, raise it a little bit higher. Okay, how come you didn't do that the first time? I said as high as you can. For whatever reason, as a speaker, I could get you to comply, but I couldn't get you to commit. People say to me, well, you know, you have a lot of leadership experience. That's true, I do. A lot of it's in the military. That's also true. So, well, leading in the military is different. I have to give them that. That's a third. It is a little different to lead in the military. I usually follow that with a question. How do you think it's different in the military? Say, well, if you tell somebody to do something in the military, they have to do it. That's true. When I speak and people are in uniform, I'm always much smarter and much funnier. So I usually follow with a question. So if the CEO or the president or your direct boss walks into your office and tells you to do something, you can just ignore them, right? Because it's not the military. Of course not. It's not the way it works. You can get compliance. You can always get compliance just because of your title and your position. But if you want commitment, you better have leadership. And I don't care if you're in a corporate environment. I don't care if you're in a nonprofit environment or in the military. And that difference between compliance and commitment could be the difference between success and failure. It could be the difference between profit and loss. It could be the difference between you keeping your doors open and having to shutter those doors.
Hi, I'm John DiNapoli. I'm a retired Brigadier General from the U.S. Army. And about 4 years ago, started a consulting firm focusing on leadership training, development, executive coaching, and some keynote speaking. I do that because I have a passion about leadership.
I got promoted a few times, and I thought, I've had a lot of jobs. I've had a lot of leadership experience. I've seen good leaders, and I've learned a lot. And as I'm sure you can all attest, I've seen bad leaders, and maybe I've learned more from them. And I can help people get better. I think a lot of people have said, I remember Lou Holtz saying it, that I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. And I'm not going to decide if I can follow you till I can decide if I can trust you. Selfless service, you don't hear this much outside the military, but I believe people do reflect it. It's the difference between I want to get the promotion now or I want to get the bonus now, and I want to raise up the organization so that everybody gets promoted and everybody gets the bonuses. Somebody says, John, you got to hit a goal, and that goal doesn't get hit. I don't care if I have a team of 1,000. That's my responsibility. I've never yet been in a business where a leader comes in and says, yes, in the military we'd say, sir, yes, sir, I failed, but I'm still really good. These people that work for me, they stink. As if, well, now the senior leader's going to think, oh, now I have more confidence in it. But we see people do it, right? It actually undermines their confidence completely in them. Well, not only can't you hit a goal, you can't even take responsibility for not hitting your goal. If your values and the company's values do not mesh, you probably should go find somewhere else to work, because you're never going to be happy there and you're never going to be comfortable there. I'm going to talk about what I call the 3 C's. Communication, both up and down the organization, and how you do that correctly. Many years ago, I was a pretty avid bike rider. I was riding about 100 miles a week, and I was going out for a bike ride with my son one morning. He was about 5. He had just learned to ride a bike. And he looked up at me and said, Daddy, how come when I ride my bike, I have to wear a helmet and you don't? I mean, the real answer, the only answer was, you're right. I should be wearing a helmet. And sure enough, I started wearing a helmet. 7 weeks later, we're down on Long Beach Island, one of my favorite places. I'm riding on the boulevard, and I look up and I see this SUV that's coming towards me and about to make a turn into a road that I'm entering, right, a side street, a cross street. I sit up, and I take off the helmet, and of course it's cracked all the way through, both the outer lining and the inner shell. And I thought, wow, this could have been a really different outcome. Had my son, not 2 months earlier, said, how come I wasn't wearing a helmet? So you're sitting there thinking, what the hell's he telling us the story about his son riding a bike? What does it have to do with business and leadership? I think everything. How much better would organizations be if we went down at every level and solicited ideas from people and then evaluated those ideas and where appropriate, actually made changes to the organization. Celebration. I think this is something that we really undervalue in the corporate world. Hey, everybody, I want to bring up Martha. She did this really well yesterday. That's something we ought to pay attention to. You think Martha's going to do more of that? You bet she is. And the last is change. All the people that are interacting with your customers, they're typically not sitting in the C-suite. When you start working on change of any kind, it's hard. But as leaders, if we're not changing, if we're not trying to get better, if we're not looking for ways to do things differently, especially in the digital age, with the rapidity of this new technology and how quickly it gets disseminated throughout our society, if we're not looking at all the changes, then we are falling behind. If there's one thing you could do to make your companies more effective and more efficient, it's to sit down every year and redo those expectations and make sure everybody's clear on them. Just going to briefly touch on the Leadership Challenge. The Leadership Challenge is a book that two professors at the University of Santa Clara, for the last 35 years, I've been going out to corporate America, successful companies, and they'll say, what do you do when you're at your best? And they ask CEOs, CFOs, leaders in the corporation, and they've come up with 5, well, that finger, I've had some surgery on that finger, it looks like 4.5. 5 principles of exemplary leadership. And they are model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and what they say is the most important, encourage the heart. The next time somebody gives you any feedback, just say thank you. Because feedback's a gift. And you may or may not agree that it's something that is helpful or not helpful, and you can evaluate that later. But the guaranteed way that you'll never get any more feedback is to tell people that you don't really want to hear it. And one way to do that is to tell them why it's not really a problem.
At some companies, I see a lot of coaching and development with the leadership, and sometimes it doesn't quite trickle down.
People at the lower level have to try to jolt the next level. So I always tell people, you have to manage your manager too. If you're not getting expectations from your manager, then you have to go ask.
You have to be prepared for the opportunities that are available to you, and you never know where they're coming from. But if you are prepared and you are ready to walk through the door when opportunity knocks, you never know where it's going to bring you.